Yolanda, and today I will be talking to you guys about the inequality in the workplace, specifically that is seen in women. Just going to give you guys a couple facts. 74% of Americans believe that working women have a negative effect on raising children, and believe that because they work so much, it's harder for them to sustain a marriage. Thus, the higher rate of divorce. Still, 79% of the people reject the idea that women should return to traditional jobs, such as being the mom or the caregiver, or working as a nurse, or working in an office position. Women have become a growing role in the family since the 1920s, but especially during the 1960s. This was due to World War II and how women had to step up to the plate and work in factories in order to provide for their nation. 25% of female workers have experienced discrimination and unfair treatment in the workplace, but believe that they should not say anything and just keep them to themselves. 70% say that they have felt sexually harassed by a fellow employee or manager, according to the national-wide survey that is given. Like every time you get your W-2s and you feel like report your company, what you're working for. A lot of them give out reviews saying that they felt harassed by their employer. There's a lot of discrimination and unfair behavior within the workforce. A lot of especially this is mostly seen in positions of higher ranking, such as becoming CEOs or like second-hand chairs. Females feel that if they do go upon to ask for a raise or be upheld to a new position, that they will be put down and won't get the job. Thus being that they just compromise for a regular job. A lot of females are overlooked for promotions because especially from the age range of 20 to 40, companies feel that they will get pregnant and then not fully prepare themselves to work in the job and not really contribute to the company and not really invest in them. So now I'm going to give you guys my rap. I did a rap on the theme song of Princess of Bel-Air. Bear with me, okay? Now this is a story all about how women got their rights in the workplace. Their life got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you how they became the key role in the workplace. In 1820s in Adams, Massachusetts, born and raised, Susan B. Anthony spent most of her days paving the way for women's suffrage, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool. So one day she decided she was over these fools and wanted to be heard. So she hit up her girls and decided it would be cool if one day they would vote too. Until she voted illegally in 1872, was in one little fight and her mom got scared, so they put her in trial and she went to jail. She had an all-male jury and never was set free to set an example for all her homies. All her girls finally were given the right to vote in the 1920s. First in her class, she's going to pass, gets into all the IBs, not going to brag. Does good in school, always following the rules, won't get her pay raise to pay her dues. She whistled for a cab, going to change her career, looked at her paycheck, it wasn't clear. With a degree in hand and a freshman career, she decides to stand up for her peers. If anything you can say this girl was rare, her employees did not appreciate her neat appeal. They said go home, tend and care. She scooted up her chair about 7 or 8, yelled at her boss, "Yo homie, see you later." She looked at her kingdom. She was finally there to sit on her throne as CEO and head chair. Starting in the 1820s, but not really had an impact until the 1920s when women got the right to vote, and how she was one of the first people to do it was a Seneca Falls conference, it was an all-female conference, the first conferences in the U.S., that kind of empowered women to vote and actually have a better position in the workplace. She died, and then 16 years later in the 1920s, females finally got the right to vote. And then the next part talks about how a lot of females go and do really good in school and they get into really good Ivy Leagues and get really good careers and degrees, but they are overlooked for higher positions, thus them not contributing to the economy and actually improving themselves. The next part we're talking about whistling for career is how a lot of females, they don't get higher up in positions because they get pregnant and their companies feel like instead of them actually contributing to the company, they're putting them down, so then they fire them. So longer maternity leave is not really happening. And then the next part is when females actually get empowerment and they actually listen to themselves and they help each other out and they kind of put their foot down and they start working and they become CEOs and head chairs. So that was my presentation. I hope you guys liked it. And the presentation was on women's rights and the inequality. Okay, hi, my name is Melissa Lozano and I am doing this for my public speaking class. And today I will talk to you guys about the inequality in the female workplace, specifically corporations and higher paying jobs. Chose this topic because I want to pursue to work in politics, and I feel that doing the internships that I have done so far, I feel that I have felt this pressure and will still be put upon this pressure even after I get my degree or further on my education. So let's get started on a couple facts about inequality in the workplace for females. 74% of Americans believe that working women have a negative effect on raising children, thus causing the rate of divorce. So they blame it on females. But still, at the same time, 79% of Americans feel that women should not go back home and tend and care for the children, but instead have lower paying jobs and lower skilled jobs such as being a nurse, being a teacher, being a nanny, something that doesn't take up so much time from them. The growing rate of women involvement began in the 1920s after they were granted the right to vote, but their impact was mostly seen in the 1960s during World War II, when females worked in factories to build more weapons and metal armor for the army and everyone that was deployed. 25% of all women that have a higher degree of a bachelor's or a master's feel that in their corporate jobs they are discriminated and have female puns put to them and derogative meanings towards them. So now I will do my little rap. Not the best, but I did it on the theme song of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so bear with me. Here we go. Now this is a story all about how women's got the rights in the workplace. Their life got turned upside down. I'd like you to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you how they became the key role in the workplace. In 1920, in Addis, Massachusetts, born and raised, Susan B. Anthony spent most of her days paving the way for women's suffrage, chilling out and acting relaxed and all cool, till one day she decided she was overly spoiled and wanted to be heard. She got in one little fight and her mom got scared. She voted illegally in 1872, was put into trial, and with an all-male jury, was set free and set the example for her homies. Her girls finally got the right to vote in the 1920s. First in her class, she's going to pass, gets into all the IVs, not going to brag. Does good in school, always following the rules, won't get pay raise to pay her dues. She whistles for a cab, going to change her career. Looked at her paycheck, it wasn't clear. With a degree in her hand and a freshman career, she decides to stand up with her peers. If anything, you could say this girl was rare. Her employees didn't appreciate her new appeal. They said, go home, tend and care. She scooted up her chair about 7 or 8, yelled to her boss, "You're home, you smell you later." She looked at her kingdom. She was finally there to sit at the throne as the CEO and head chair. So thank you guys for your time.